Good morning, everyone. Just want to give you a brief, compelling reason why you should follow the headings in the textbook. Now, in my email instructions, you saw that I requested 3 parts, the CCC format. That was context, content, and contact. And there, context, content, contact is an organizational strategy. It's not a requirement to use those as headings. They should inform how you organize your work. And context could be 3 paragraphs. Content could be longer, right? Depending on the size of the document. So that's different. When it comes to your recommendation report, I actually want you to use all of the headings in the textbook in that chapter on recommendation reports. So when it says you should have introduction, that is a heading. It should say introduction. And then below that, it should say purpose. And then your next section should say problem or background, and then background, or vice versa, or one or the other. And then it should say scope. Those should be actual headings. And so the next part, it says discussion. So discussion is a heading. That should be in your document. And then beneath that, you should have criteria 1. But it shouldn't actually say criteria 1. It should have the name of the criteria. So if the criteria is cost or efficiency or some other materials used or environmental impact or pollution or accident rate, that should be the second level heading. So discussion is a first level heading. The second level should be the name of the criteria. And then the third level heading would be explanation, which explains why this is a criteria. The next one would be data, where you introduce your data, introduce your figures and tables. And some of you aren't doing that, and I know our textbook doesn't. But we learned the rules. You always introduce figures and tables by name. Figure 1 shows. Table 1 provides the data for X, Y, and Z. So you always introduce, and then you give the data, and that's in the data section. Then the next section is interpretation, where you interpret the data and state which one is better based on the data. And then we should get to criteria 2, which you're submitting tomorrow on Friday. So criteria 2 should be the name of the next criteria. So if it's adaptability, if it's whatever your next one is, it will say that. And then you'll give explanation, data, interpretation again. So make sure you're using those headings. I don't want to have to write again on your drafts. Use the headings from the textbook. Use even the subheadings. Make sure you're doing that. And what it can do for you is allow you to see how small or how big your criteria need to be. So if you are just talking about all of the advantages of one of your choices, that's not really a criteria. Advantage is not a criteria. You have to be able to judge it based on data so you can choose a winner. So you may need to break advantages down into much smaller things. So you could end up having a lot of smaller criteria, and that's okay. So using those headings, it's not only an organizational strategy, it helps the reader so that they know which one they need to look at. Okay? Good luck.